Hi, my name's Scott Rogers. I'm the CEO here at eSkilled, and I'm really excited to be showcasing for you today our online learning activity, or OLA. So look, OLA is pretty revolutionary in the fact that it solves a lot of problems for training organizations, in particular in skills assessment in an online environment. With the pandemic, we've seen a lot of RTOs moving to learning management systems and online systems to keep their training operations going, and are really struggling with how they can properly capture and assess skills in an online environment. So typically the only tools that training organizations have available to them in learning management systems like Moodle and Canvas and Blackboard are things like quiz, essay type activities, and then they're really relying on things like assignment uploads to really do the heavy lifting to try and capture skills-based assessment using document-based tools to capture all of those critical skills that students are completing either in the workplace or at home. So what we've done, our development team have been working really hard to solve these problems for the vet sector and have come up with an incredible tool to allow you to do that. So basically what OLA does is allow you to create digital observation forms. So typically assessors in the current age are often having to print paper-based observation forms before they go out to visit a workplace to observe a student completing a task or activity. When they get to that workplace, they then manually complete that form using a pen and paper, having to sign that, and then when they get back to their workplace, they need to then scan that document, upload it to a learning management system, and then go and update the results for that student in the learning management system. So a pretty massively laborious task. So OLA basically allows you to create digital observation forms that can be used on any device, whether it be a mobile phone, tablet, or on a computer. So there's no need for any paper. Assessors can assess their students directly from any device, so laptop, mobile phone, or a tablet, and as soon as they've completed that observation, the students' results are automatically graded, so no having to go back, scan documents, upload them, and complete students' grades, mark students' grades in the system. So what I want to do today, that's just one of the things that it can do. I want to take you through some of the other amazing functionality that OLA has. Things like digital signatures, video capture, so students can actually capture themselves completing tasks in a workplace, and a whole bunch of other really cool features that help students and assessors capture skills in the workplace. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at a little task here. It's a workplace task. In this case, it's just a mock assessment that we've created for demonstration purposes. But in this task, the student's going to be completing a WHS audit and going around, and they've got to video themselves showing how they've implemented some work health and safety controls, and check the effectiveness of those controls, and then they need to complete a report after that. Now typically they would be doing that with like I said, an assessor being present, and document-based reports. OLA's pretty much eliminated all of that. So and what we're going to do now is we're going to move through the form. So this is an assessment that has already been completed by a student, and I'm viewing it as an assessor in the system, just to make that clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go next, and you can see I've got a student's video submission here, and what I'm going to do is go down and play that video, and as the assessor I can observe that task being completed in the workplace. I'm just going to pause that for a second and show you a really cool feature which allows me to open up an observation form, and I could literally be playing that video and completing my observation form here without even visiting a workplace. So really convenient for the student. They don't have to organise a time to be assessed with the assessor, and then organise for the assessor to come out to the workplace and all that sort of thing. So students can literally just upload the video of them completing the task, and as an assessor I can literally go through and mark that. Now the cool thing you'll notice is as I mark that, yes, the system knows who I am and it knows the date and it knows the time, so it's already shortcutting everything and date and time stamping that with my name as well for further authenticity. I can go through and mark all of those. Now the cool thing is, as I'm marking this assessment and observing these different aspects or criteria through watching that video, which I'm not playing just because it's got audio and I don't want it to talk over me, is the system will automatically grade the student based on whatever I mark in this form, so I don't have to go and grade it afterwards. So I've already completed my observation, save that, the data's been successfully saved, and if we go down the bottom here now, we can also see that the students uploaded some documents that I need to review as assessor, and the cool thing is the system also tells me as the assessor what I need to view for a successful result for these documents that have been uploaded as well. So basically Olo allows you to enter benchmarks for every task and activity. So assessors don't need to have another assessor guide open while they're marking, which would typically be the case. Everything is contained in one form. Obviously students don't see those, the marking guide, only assessors will see that. So this makes for really, really efficient marking. The old method was open the assignment that the student submitted in a document format, have my assessor guide open in another document and on another screen, and then I'd have to have open another form for recording the student results as well. So all of this is done in one form. You'll notice I can mark the grade here, and we can also put comments for the students. When this goes back to the student, the graders' comments will appear in blue for them, so they know that, so they'll just see their answers and the graders' comments in blue plus the grade. So pretty cool. I'm just going to go to the next task. Now here we have a workplace form. So typically this would be a document, and look, there's all sorts of problems with using documents and assessment for students and learning management systems. First of all, not all students are digitally literate, so figuring out how to download a form, find where they saved that form, open that form, then complete that form, then upload that form just to submit it, can be really challenging for a lot of students. So what Ola does is just completely eliminate that. Students can open this form, which is just a web page, on their mobile, complete the form on their mobile. There's nothing to download. As they complete their in this case, worksite audit template, everything is saved as in real time and comes through to the assessor for grading. And so you can see here again, we've got the benchmark answers. So I know exactly what's required in this task or activity to mark that with a grade, and we can grade down here one for satisfactory or 0 for not yet satisfactory, and we can also put graders' comments in there as well, so give really good feedback so students know what they've got to do next. So moving along, the next task also has an upload activity, and finally another video task that the student has to complete, in which I might have to complete another observation form, and I can go through and mark that observation form, and when I'm ready I can click finish. That will send the result to the student and my marking is done. I didn't have to visit a workplace, I haven't had to download any documents, students haven't had to deal with any unwielding documents. Super easy, and really does remove a lot of barriers for students. So that's an example of a practical activity. This is another activity I'd like to show you, just to give you an idea of some of the different types of activities that you can build in our online activity builder, and I'll show you the builder at the end because that's really the most exciting part of it. So what we have here is the equivalent of what would normally be a document-based cover sheet. Now, signatures also cause all sorts of pain and grief for students, and we actually need signatures for authenticity of evidence under the standards for training organisations in Australia. So signatures are really important, but they do pose a big problem for students. So again, if I require a signature on a document, the student has to download that, they have to print it, they often don't have printers. Next thing is they've got to take that document to their supervisor, get it signed, work out how to scan it, work out how to save it, work out how to upload it, just to get a single signature for a task that they've completed. Pretty crazy. So you can easily create supervisor reports or third-party reports. You can create student cover sheets that they need to sign. You can even create put assessor signatures on your assessor observation forms as well. So in this case, student has signed this that they're ready to be assessed, and all the work is their own. You'll notice that the system automatically adds the student's name, date, and time. So again, they don't even need to do that. The system knows what time and date it is, and they also know who's logged in. So all the student has to do is put their signature in. Another cool thing about Ola is you can create checklists, you can create yes/no questions, as you saw in the previous audit report. Yeah, you name it, you can basically create it in Ola. So this is an example of some questions and answers, pretty straightforward. Student goes through and completes all of those questions and answers as they go. And what I'd like to do now is actually show you what that looks like from an assessor's perspective. So now if we're looking at this from an assessor's perspective, you'll see that I have the student's answer here, and I've also got my benchmarks under every question. So marking this is now super quick. Yeah, again, I don't have to have multiple documents open with my assessor guide and my student results or student answers. I've literally got everything in one form. So marking this is super quick. I can read the student's answer and check it against my benchmarks. I can read the student's answer, check it against my benchmarks. If it's correct, we give it a grade and just say, well done. And away we go, next. So streamlined assessing, it streamlines assessing time like you wouldn't believe. Every assessor that's ever used this tool is just raving about how quick and easy it is. So yep, basically the assessor would go through and do the same throughout the form, and when they're ready, they finish that and submit that result. So that's an example of a more straightforward question and answer style assessment. So you can pretty much create anything from third-party reports, skills-based assessments and workplace forms, video capturing assessment tasks. You can even create observation-only tasks. So rather than the student uploading video of themselves, if you actually still want that assessor to go to the workplace, you can literally just create an assessment like an observation only task with an observation form that the assessor literally just opens that observation form on their phone while they're in the workplace, completes the observation, submits it, and they've got nothing left to do. It's done. Okay, the last thing I'd like to show you is how you build these things, because that's really what makes Ola revolutionary in terms of the simplicity of building these documents straight into the system. Okay, so now we're looking at Ola Assessment Builder, or yeah, the Assessment Builder. So basically what you see here is the control panel for building assessments. So in the middle we actually have our assessment, and you can see that we've got different tabs across the top here. We've got tabs, and we can have as many tabs as we like, and then we have our actual tasks within those tabs. So basically this is a drag and drop builder. So it's designed so anybody can create assessment tasks without basically with a very small learning curve. So on the left hand side here, we've got all the different widgets, what we call widgets, that you can drag and drop onto the screen. So you've got answer fields and input fields. You've got radio buttons to create checklists. You've got columns, so you can create multiple column tables, and you just drag however many columns you would like. You can, you've down the bottom here, we've got things like a file upload widgets, video upload widgets, signature widgets, multiple file upload widgets, external signature widgets, which is used for anyone that's not in the system. So they're typically used for your third-party reports, and video upload widgets and image upload widgets, as well as heading widgets as well. So basically you just grab whatever you want and pop it on the page. So in this form here, let's go to task 1.1, and look, I might want the student to sign a declaration, for instance, on this page that they're ready to be assessed. So that is as simple as grabbing a signature widget and actually dragging and dropping that onto the screen. And you'll notice in a few seconds that's loaded, and I can see it here, and you'll notice it says digital signature label. We don't really want the student to see that. We might want them to see some instruction like, please sign to confirm, if I can type, here we go, confirm your understanding. And we might want to make that bold, and we might want to make that a little bit bigger as well, or smaller. Let's try bigger. And we might want to fix that little typo that I've just done there. So super easy to edit and create really cool assessments. You'll notice down here we've got marking guide. So this is where I can add and edit instructions for the assessor. So I might say to the assessor, the student must sign this form for successful completion. Now we've got some instruction to the assessor, so you can see how easy it is just to quickly and easily build tasks and activities. If I wanted to add an input field to this this page, I might also put a little answer field here, for instance. So this type of field is really good for a question and answer type field. So in the label text, that's where we put our question. What state are you in, for instance? And again, we might make that bold and give it a question mark. And yeah, and now we've got a question and an answer field for students. Yeah. And again, we could put a marking guide there if we wanted, which would display to assessors. As you're in the builder, if you're wondering what the student sees, you've got two different views. You've got grader view, which will show you the benchmarks, and then the student preview as well. So we can, as we're building, we can go along and see how our form looks to the end user. Yeah, and the cool thing about that is we can also see it in a mobile view as well. And we can see it in a tablet view. So again, we can see how that's rendering on all the different devices, so we can make sure it's going to be user-friendly for anyone, no matter what sort of device they're using. Very, very cool. So let's jump back to the editor. So yeah, super easy. We can save as we go, and basically you can build any type of document or form super easy in the system without needing any instruction. So look, there's only one last thing I'd like to show you before we wrap up, and that's what we call in the system proctoring. So proctoring, what proctoring does, it actually captures evidence of the student completing the task or activity as they go. So, and for those of you who aren't aware, under the standards, the latest under the standards for RTOs, training organizations are required to be able to provide evidence that the actual student completed the task or activity. Now that becomes really almost virtually impossible in an LMS without utilizing the technology that I'm showing you now. So there's a lot of training organizations out there that are actually really non-compliant with this requirement, and will probably be in a lot of trouble at their next audit, because when the regulator asks them, like, how do you know that that assessment that's been uploaded as a document is the student's own work, that RTO will not be able to answer the question. They won't be able to provide evidence that that is that student's work, and it's very difficult for them to provide that evidence using document-based media. So what our system does is, because the student's online and they're completing it, when they go to start their assessment, it asks them to validate that they're okay with having their camera on, and it will actually take snapshots as that student goes through the task, actually completing the task at random intervals. So the RTO can say categorically clear that was the student completing the actual task and not someone else. So very critical for compliance and for authenticity. So guys, look, I hope you've enjoyed my walkthrough of OLA. It really is revolutionary, and it's a game changer for skills assessment in the vet sector. We've been really excited to launch it this year to our clients, and the feedback has been incredible. Some RTOs just saying, it's completely transformed the way that they train and assess their students. Great feedback from students, really great feedback from assessors. We hope you like it, and thank you for your time today.